On Delta TV main news tonight, Governor Sheriff Oborevwori inaugurates 10-man steering committee on framework for responsible investment in land-intensive agriculture. President Bola Tinubu expresses excitement as Nigeria capital market surpasses 100 trillion naira benchmark. Nigerian Army warns public on fake social media accounts linked to Chief of Army Staff. And abroad, coup threatened Benin to hold local parliamentary election January 12. Good evening and welcome to the Delta Television main news, where we bring you the latest news stories from across Nigeria and the world. You can also follow our news online on Facebook and YouTube at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, or visit our website at www.dbsasaba.com. I am Blessing Usiagbada. Now the news in detail. The state governor, Right Honorable Sheriff Oborevwori, has inaugurated a 10-man steering committee on the framework for responsible investment in land-intensive agriculture, FRILIA. The committee was inaugurated in Government House, Asaba, on behalf of the governor by the state deputy governor, Samonde Onyeme, who also serves as the chairman of the committee. Pere Botu reports.
The committee was inaugurated in Government House, Asaba, on behalf of the governor by the state deputy governor, Samonde Onyeme, who also serves as the chairman of the committee. Governor Oborevwori explained that FRILIA was conceptualized to facilitate the ease of doing business in the state, stressing that agricultural development remained a key priority of the state and federal government. Presenting the 8-point terms of reference for the committee, the governor charged members to promote transparency in land acquisition and resettlement for large-scale agribusiness investment. He added that the committee also has as its terms of reference the application of inclusive agriculture and agricultural production models and safeguard measures against dispossession of tenure rights holders. Governor Oborevwori said the committee would also monitor the application of compensation standards, promote environmental sustainability in the utilization of land for agribusiness investment. In their separate remarks, the Commissioner for Agriculture and Natural Resources, Barrister Val Ayorinka, and the Director General of the Delta State Investment Development Agency, Honorable Anthony Elekokuri, disclosed that FRILIA was a $750 million World Bank-assisted program available to the state if effectively implemented. They explained that the World Bank facility was a performance-based financial support scheme that could only be assessed upon meeting clearly defined benchmarks set by development partners. The governor also inaugurated a 20-man technical committee to provide expert and technical support to the steering committee. Similarly, a 6-member grievance and redress committee comprising experts in land administration and allocation was inaugurated to address complaints and disputes that may arise in the process of land acquisition and allocation for agribusiness investments. I am Pere Botu reporting.
President Bola Tinubu has expressed excitement as the Nigerian capital market surpasses the historic 100 trillion naira benchmark. According to a statement by the president's spokesman, Bayo Onanuga, President Tinubu described the achievement as a major milestone and a clear signal of renewed investor confidence in the Nigerian economy. The NGX All-Share Index closed 2025 with a 51.19% return, outperforming the 37.65% recorded in 2024, as well as a major global indices like the SP 500 and FTSE 100. President Tinubu said this performance positions Nigeria among the world's best performing equity markets, describing the country as a destination where value is being unlocked. He highlighted strong performances across industrial firms, banks, technology, and energy companies, noting that many companies have localized supply chains and leveraged technological innovation to drive growth. President Tinubu also said the pipeline of new listings on the NGX is robust, with several indigenous firms seeking to fund expansion through the capital market. On the broader economy, the president noted that inflation has continued to fall, dropping from a 24-month high of 34.8% in December 2024 to 14.45% by November 2025, with projections for 12% in 2026 and a possible dip below 10% before year end. He credited monetary tightening, removal of ways and means financing, and investment in agriculture for helping stabilize the naira and ease inflationary pressures. President Tinubu reaffirmed his commitment to policies aimed at building a transparent, inclusive, and high-growth economy driven by tax and fiscal reforms. He described the 100 trillion naira market capitalization as a testament to Nigeria's economic resilience and productivity. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Joash Amupitan SAN, says the commission is committed to delivering a free, fair, transparent, and technologically driven 2027 general elections. Professor Amupitan made a pledge in Lagos at INEC's 2026 induction and strategic retreat held from January 9 to 10, 2026. He assured Nigerians that no form of electoral misconduct will be tolerated, adding that sanctions will apply to any official who breaches INEC values. The INEC chairman said the commission is preparing for a rapidly evolving electoral landscape, especially with millions of first-time young voters expected to participate in 2027. He described them as digital natives who demand real-time transparency, stressing that INEC must earn their trust through openness and innovation. He also outlined 5 non-negotiable pillars guiding the commission: credible, inclusive, transparent, free, and fair elections, saying the rule of law under his leadership is not a suggestion, but INEC's operating system. Professor Amupitan disclosed that the retreat will review 17 major thematic areas, including logistics, voter registration, election security, transportation, ad hoc staff management, and political party oversight. He emphasized that a continuous voter registration and revalidation process must be beyond reproach, while INEC will also push for internal democracy and transparency in party finances. The INEC chairman further declared that 2027 should be a watershed moment for elections in Nigeria, setting an ambitious goal for the commission to become the best election management body in Africa and a beacon of democratic integrity. Earlier, the Lagos State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Professor Ayobami Salami, said public expectations for the 2027 election are high than ever, urging INEC officials to rise to the challenge. The Federal Medical Center, FMC Asaba, has recorded a major milestone in Nigeria's healthcare delivery with the establishment of the country's first Caregivers Academy, aimed at improving post-hospital care for patients. At the graduation of the pioneer trainees, public health experts identified poor continuity of care after hospital discharge as one of Nigeria's major healthcare gaps. Sams Okojite has details.
Beautiful ladies and gentlemen, yes, you made it.
Founder of the Academy and head of the Public Health Department at the FMC Asaba, Dr. Anastexia Ujimba, explained that the program was created to bridge this gap by training caregivers to provide structured home-based care for patients recovering from stroke, wounds, catheter use, mobility challenges, and other chronic conditions. She emphasized that caregivers were different from doctors, nurses, and community health workers as their role focused on daily home care such as hygiene, feeding, mobility support, environmental cleanliness, and emotional care.
These caregivers are the backbone of our health system. Without them, stroke survivors cannot recover.
The acting medical director of the FMC Asaba, Dr. Omo Ekenem, described caregivers as a vital link in strengthening healthcare delivery beyond hospitals, adding that the growing demand in Nigeria and abroad motivated the initiative.
The establishment of this academy aligns squarely with the Federal Ministry of Health's 4-point agenda, which continues to guide healthcare delivery in Nigeria.
Chairman of the Board of Management in the establishment, Dr. Mary Idele Alile, described the academy as a landmark achievement and charged graduates to uphold professionalism and ethical standards.
Caregiver Academy is majorly a product of Mr. President.
Other speakers called on government to look into providing caregiving homes to reduce the workloads and bureaucracies in hospitals. Critical stakeholders at the event included the State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Joseph Nujame, represented by Dr. Anthony Waje, the State Head of Service, Dr. Minimi Oseji, and the General Manager of the Delta Broadcasting Service DBS Asaba, Mrs. Christine Yubome Mitulu, represented by our Deputy General Manager in the station, Mrs. Tessie Abuga. The pioneer trainees underwent 6 months of intensive training, while applications for a second batch have now opened, positioning the FMC Asaba as a national trailblazer in caregiving training. Sams Ohojite reporting.
We will transform the nation.
The coordinator of the Renewed Hope Initiative, RHI, Chief Fukekeme Solomon, has led members of his team on a visit to the Azagba of Asaba, Obi Epiphany Azinge, SAN, as well as other eminent personalities in the state. The visit was part of efforts to deepen engagement with traditional institutions, political stakeholders, and key players in the business community, while also delivering a goodwill message from the presidency. The report.
At the palace of the Asaba monarch, Chief Solomon, who is also the ambassador of the RHI in the state, conveyed President Tinubu's message of unity, peace, and inclusive governance, stressing the administration's commitment to improving the welfare of Nigerians through the Renewed Hope agenda. He described traditional rulers as critical partners in national development and grassroots mobilization, adding that they were key to growth and stability in any society. Chief Solomon later presented gifts from the president to the royal father, noting that the gesture was in line with the president's desire to cushion the effects of economic hardship and demonstrate empathy with the people.
Brief you from time to time of activities of the Bola Tinubu administration. We solicit your cooperation, sir. Solicit the availability to give us your varied experience that you have gathered over the years.
The Azagba of Asaba, Obi Epiphany Azenge, expressed appreciation to President Tinubu for the visit and the gesture, describing it as a clear demonstration of the president's concern for the people. He offered prayers for the success of the administration and urged the federal government to sustain people-oriented policies.
If we fail to manage peace in Asaba, we have lost every other thing. So when we do certain things, it will appear that we are in competition with the state government. No, we're only trying to support them, trying to enhance whatever is going on, and we're not going to. So thank Mr. President for his gesture, the gifts and every other thing, but also tell him that we have listened to his message and that certainly as other people will not disappoint when it matters most.
The entourage also paid visits to some prominent politicians and key industry players in the state capital and its environs, where similar messages from the presidency were delivered. The RHI coordinator emphasized the need for collective support for the initiative, calling on political and business leaders to collaborate with the federal government in driving economic growth and social development. Recipients of the visit commended President Tinubu for the initiative and pledged their continued support for policies and programs aimed at national progress and improved living standards for Nigerians. The engagement visits continue to other parts of the state.
The Nsukka Youth Development Association, NYDA, has held its first ever youth conference tagged Conference of Unification. The event held at the Nsukka Town Hall in Anyocha South Local Government Area and was organized to mark the successful completion of the association's activities for the year 2025 and to celebrate the commitment and resilience of Nsukka youths towards community development. The report.
Youth leaders, community stakeholders, and invited guests from various quarters of Nsukka Kingdom attended the event, united by a shared vision of peace, progress, and collective responsibility. In his welcome address, the president of the association, Comrade Harrison Opia, described the conference as a milestone, stressing that unity among youth remained the strongest tool for sustainable development. He said the gathering was aimed at fostering harmony and strengthening collaboration.
We are here today as youth of Nsukka Kingdom to deliberate on issues that affect us and deep dive for a veritable ideas for our growth and development, which by extension rubs off on the kingdom.
Speakers at the conference, including the Honorable Commissioner, Technical Education, Honorable Smart Ufo, urged youth to shun violence, cultism, and disunity, and instead embrace dialogue, leadership, and positive engagement in community affairs.
There will be unity in this town. This unity is going to come as a result of our resolve, our resolution that unity must come.
We should be sleeping with our eyes closed. If we think that the youth body in various quarters or our own youth body in conjunction with the vigilante, so that every quarter will be safe.
It's a decision you need to take and carry everybody along. It's a conference of unification. So whatever it is you're discussing, whatever it is you're going to do.
Of course, to see ourselves as one. Don't ever feel that I am not better, this one is more better.
History has shown us that communities do not grow by chance. They grow when people choose to stand together, despite differences in opinion, which of course makes every community very stronger.
Conference of Unification. If we decide that it's a conference of unification, we must take it a little bit further to reach out to each and every one of us and stepping aside all that had happened in the past, but bringing everyone together as one.
The event featured interactive sessions and recognition of outstanding youth and ended with renewed commitments to unity and initiatives that will promote the social and economic development of Nsukka Kingdom.
The Nigerian Medical Association Edo State Branch has threatened to withdraw medical services across the state beginning Saturday, January 10, 2026. The move follows the abduction of 2 medical doctors on January 1st and 2nd this year. In a statement made available to newsmen in Benin, Dr. Eustace Osagele, chairman of the NMA Edo State Branch, said the planned withdrawal of services is a direct response to the kidnappings and reflects the heightened sense of vulnerability among healthcare professionals. Dr. Osagele called for the immediate release of the abducted doctors and urged enhanced security measures to protect medical practitioners and residents of Edo State. The NMA chairman stressed that a safe working environment is crucial for healthcare providers and warned that unless the demands are met, medical services will be withdrawn across the state. In other news, the first vice president of the Nigerian Medical Association, Dr. Benjamin Olowojebutu, says Afe Babalola University Ado-Ekiti ABUAD is on course to rank among the world's top 10 universities within the lifetime of its founder, Afe Babalola. Dr. Olowojebutu made the remarks during a visit to the institution, describing ABUAD as not just a center of learning, but a living testament to vision, sacrifice, and disciplined execution. The NMH Vice President's visit was also a reconnection with the proud heritage of Ekiti State, which he said gave him a deep sense of belonging. You're watching Delta TV Main News. Still to come, Nigerian Army wants public to on fake social media accounts linked to Chief of Army Staff. Details of this story and many more will come after the short break. Please stay tuned.
Like this moment in every corner of Delta State, brilliance waits to be discovered. But too often, these dreams are dimmed by circumstances. For our first season, 13 exceptional minds broke through. Out of hundreds of applicants, these individuals emerged at the top, not just as scholars, but as torchbearers of hope. This is not charity. This is justice, because talent deserves investment. And now, the good news. Season 2 is here. Full tuition, on-campus accommodation, living support, career mentoring from entry to graduation. Applications are now open for indigents of Delta State, and it runs between now to the 28th of February 2026. Visit www.otemoeducationalfoundation.org to apply. Remember, learn today, lead tomorrow.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Delta Television Main News. The Nigerian Army has warned the public about fake social media accounts being falsely linked to the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu. In a statement released today, the Acting Director of Army Public Relations, Colonel Apollonia Anele, said the Army has noticed a rise in fraudulent accounts created in the name of the Army Chief. The Army emphasized that Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu does not operate any official social media accounts, adding that claims circulating online are the work of impersonators. Colonel Anele advised Nigerians to remain vigilant, warning that the fake accounts are being used to defraud citizens, solicit funds, and spread misinformation in the name of the Nigerian Army. She urged the public not to engage with, share, or promote content from such accounts, saying doing so could expose users to scams and criminal activities. The Army also confirmed that investigations are ongoing to track and prosecute those behind the accounts, reaffirming its commitment to protecting lives and property and defending Nigeria's territorial integrity in line with the Constitution. Meanwhile, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu, has charged Nigerian Army personnel to uphold discipline and respect human rights during military operations. The Army Chief gave directive during a visit to frontline troops of the 31 Brigade in Niger State, insisting that professionalism must guide engagement with both civilians and adversaries. The Nigerian Air Force has met with senior United States government officials and representatives of Bell Textron to speed up the acquisition of 12 AH-IZ attack helicopters to strengthen Nigeria's counter-terrorism operations. The program management review meeting led by the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sunday Aneke, held in San Diego, California from January 5th to 6th, 2026. NAF spokesperson Ehimen Ejodame says discussions centered on program progress, logistics, and ensuring timely delivery within budget and agreed timelines. The helicopters are expected to provide a major boost to Nigeria's air combat capacity in support of ground forces fighting insurgency and terrorism. The Edo State government says it will launch a statewide measles and rubella vaccination campaign targeting 2.2 million children aged 0 months to 14 years. The Director of Disease Control and Immunization at the Edo State Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Esegbe Efelmon, announced this today in Benin. He says the campaign will run from January 20th to 30th, 2026, covering all 18 local government areas without exception. Vaccination will take place at public health facilities and temporary community posts, and the vaccines will be free, safe, and administered only by trained health workers. Nigeria's national goal is to reduce measles and rubella cases to 10% per million population by 2026 and 1 per million by 2030. The WHO local government facilitator, Mr. Paul Ajero, described measles and rubella as major causes of child death and congenital abnormalities, but preventable through proper vaccination. UNICEF and UNICEF officials also urged parents and caregivers to take their children to approved centers, emphasizing that the injectable vaccine is safe and effective and offers lifelong protection. Publishers of local tabloids under the Port Harcourt Press platform have threatened to boycott activities of the Rivers State Police Command, accusing the police of failing to arrest suspects behind the attack on Arise television news crew in Port Harcourt. The journalists were assaulted on Friday, January 2, 2026, while interviewing Dr. Lenunu Mwibubasa, a former Rivers State Commissioner, at a hotel in the state capital. Leaders of the group, Ogbonna Nwuke and Martins Yellow, say the boycott is to resist what they call impunity and intimidation of the media. They allege that the assailants boasted that critical comments about former governor and current FCT Minister Nyesom Wike would be resisted. The publishers expressed concern that although the police recovered the broadcast equipment, no arrests have been announced days after, despite claims that one suspect was identified. The group condemned the attack, describing it as a barbaric style of politics, and questioned the police commitment to protecting journalists. The global scene is next as we join our World News Desk.
1 month after an attempted coup shocked Benin, the West Africa country will hold parliamentary and local elections on Sunday, set to define the political landscape ahead of presidential polls in April. President Patrice Talon's ruling coalition is expected to strengthen its already powerful hand in the ballots, with the main opposition, Democrats Party, barred from the local polls and from April's presidential race for failing to gather enough signatures to register. The Democrats will be running in parliamentary races on Sunday, but risk ceding more ground to Talon's three-party bloc, which currently hosts 81 of the 109 seats in the National Assembly. The election comes at a fraught moment for Benin, still reeling from a deadly coup attempt by army mutineers on December 7th, which was put down in a matter of hours by the military with support from Nigeria and France. Talon, 67, has presided over strong economic development across his nearly a decade in power, but critics accuse him of restricting political opposition and basic rights. Security is also expected to be a key issue for voters. Northern Benin has been hit hard by a spillover of jihadist violence by Al-Qaeda-affiliated groups from neighboring Burkina Faso and Niger. While Talon, who is nearing the end of his second 5-year term, is barred from running in April's elections, his hand-picked successor, Finance Minister Romuald Wadagni, is a strong favorite to win. Wadagni will face a single rival for the presidency, moderate opposition figure Paul Hoke of the smaller FCBE party, which has signed a number of agreements with parties in the ruling bloc. Iran has largely cut off from the outside world today after authorities blacked out the internet to curb growing unrest as videos showed buildings ablaze in anti-government protests raging in several cities across the country. Rights groups have already documented dozens of deaths of protesters in nearly 2 weeks, and with Iranian state TV showing clashes and fires, the semi-official Tasmin news agency reported that several police officers have been killed overnight. In a televised address, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei vowed not to back down, accusing demonstrators of acting on behalf of emigre opposition groups at the United States, and a public prosecutor threatened death sentences. The unrest has not mobilized as many layers of society as other bouts of protest in recent years, but the authorities look more vulnerable because of our dire economic situation and the aftermath of last year's war with Israel and the United States.
Welcome back. Now let's join our business news desk for stories on business and the economy.
The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, has intensified its oversight of the country's power sector in the third quarter of 2025, issuing a total of 47 regulatory orders. According to NERC's third quarter 2025 report, the Commission used these orders to guide electricity licenses, manage tariff adjustments, strengthen grid operations, and advance the transfer of electricity market regulation to states under the Electricity Act of 2023. On tariffs, NERC issued 3 sets of supplementary orders to the nation's 11 electricity distribution companies, or DISCOs, in July, August, and September. The orders accounted for changes in factors such as inflation, exchange rates, generation capacity, and gas prices. However, end users' tariffs remain frozen at July 2024 rates, in line with our federal government subsidy directive. Beyond tariffs, the Commission also issued orders to delineate assets and liabilities between DISCOs and their constituent subsidiary, or subcos, effective from August 1. NERC says the exercise is aimed at ensuring accountability, transparency, and investor confidence while providing economic data for states to set appropriate rates. In line with the Decentralization Framework of Electricity Act, regulatory oversight of the intrastate electricity market was transferred to state regulators in Bayelsa and Nasarawa states. The measure aims to improve grid stability, enhance compliance with the grid code, and ensure sufficient reserves with penalties for non-compliance. NERC says these regulatory actions are part of its ongoing effort to strengthen Nigeria's electricity market and safeguard both investors and consumers. Nigeria Debt Management Office (DMO) has secured 1.144 trillion naira as its first treasury bills auction of 2026, as investor demand for government securities remains strong. The auction held on January 7th raised 108.17 billion for the 91-day bill, 48.23 billion for 182-day, and 987.78 billion for the 364-day paper. The one-year bill dominated subscriptions, attracting about 1.38 trillion against 800 billion naira offered, with the stop rate climbing to 18.47%, the highest increase across all tenors. Analysts say investors are locking in long-dated papers to hedge against inflation and reinvestment risk in a high-rate environment. Meanwhile, the United Nations, in its World Economic Situation and Prospect 2026 report released yesterday, forecast global economic growth at 2.7% this year, slightly below 2025's 2.8%.
Data released by the Nigeria Interbank Settlement System (NIBSS) shows that bank verification number enrollment in Nigeria have reached 67.8 million as of December 2025. The figure released indicates an increase of 4.3 million compared to the 63.5 million recorded in 2024. A 5-year breakdown of BVN registrations shows steady growth: 51.9 million in 2021, 56 million in 2022, 60.1 million in 2023, 63.5 million in 2024 and 67.8 million in 2025. This represents a 6.8% year-on-year rise between 2024 and 2025, reflecting sustained progress in biometric identification and financial inclusion within Nigeria's banking sector. NIBSS also reports that active bank accounts in the country stood at 325.6 million as of August 2025. The high number includes savings, current, and corporate accounts, and also reflects cases where customers hold multiple accounts across different banks. The growth in BVN enrollment has been linked to policy interventions by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, working alongside the Bankers Committee. Recall that the BVN system was launched on February 14, 2014, as part of CBN's digital transformation drive to curb identity fraud. The initiative assigns every bank customer a unique 11-digit number tied to biometric data, fingerprints, and facial capture linked to all their bank accounts nationwide. NIBSS confirms that the enrollment process remains simple, requiring customers to visit any bank branch, complete a form, and undergo biometric capture with BVN typically generated and delivered via SMS within 24 to 48 hours. And now to sports. Super Eagles head coach Eric Chell says his focus remains strictly on football, despite the unpaid win bonus and allowance dispute threatening Nigeria's progress at the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco. The financial crisis involving the players and the Nigeria Football Federation almost disrupted the team's continued participation in the tournament and has dominated headlines ahead of Nigeria's quarter-final match. But speaking at his pre-match press conference today, Chell insisted that off-field issues will not distract him from his job. He added that the team's mindset remains strong, saying the squad is ready physically and tactically for the knockout showdown, while directing further financial questions to the Football Federation. The 48-year-old coach also expressed confidence in the Super Eagles' mental preparation, noting that managing pressure at this stage is critical. He said the team has studied the opponent's weaknesses and worked daily on executing tactical instructions, assuring that Nigeria will be ready for the challenge. Chell is familiar with quarter-final heartbreak. At AFCON 2023 in Côte d'Ivoire, while coaching Mali, his side lost 2-1 after conceding a 90th minute equalizer and a stoppage time extra time winner, despite having a numerical advantage. Now in charge of Nigeria, Chell hopes for a different ending as the Super Eagles push to overcome both opponents and distractions to keep their title ambitions alive. The state governor, Right Honorable Sheriff Oborewore, was among dignitaries that attended the funeral service of late Mrs. Eunice Nenwa Nwabwe, mother-in-law to a former secretary to the government of Delta State, Comrade Ovozore Macaulay. The service took place at St. Michael's Anglican Church, Okaichi, Anambra State. In his sermon, Right Reverend Justus Wefili urged Christians to remain focused and believe that life is a divine gift. He reminded the congregation that there was a time for everything in life and that they should dedicate their lives to serving God and humanity. The cleric described the late Mrs. Eunice Nwabwe as a woman who lived a meaningful and impactful life, experiencing both joyful and challenging moments with grace. He said her life was not defined merely by the length of her years, but by the love she shared, the values she upheld, and the positive impact she made on those around her. The cleric admonished the children and grandchildren to remain united in both grief and gratitude. Governor Oborewore was represented at the occasion by his deputy, Sir Monday Onyeme. Also in attendance were Mr. Charles Anyago, Commissioner for Works, Rural Roads and Public Information, Prince Johnson Erijo, Chief of Staff, Government House, Asaba, and Honorable Solomon Igrakwata, Chairman of the Delta State Internal Revenue Service, along with his wife, Mrs. Fidelia Igrakwata, among other dignitaries. Now, our thought for the day. Discipline is choosing what you want. Discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want now. Now, before we go, let's take a look at some of our major stories. The state governor, Right Honorable Sheriff Oborewore, has inaugurated a 10-man steering committee on the framework for responsible investment in land-intensive agriculture, FRILA. The committee was inaugurated in Government House, Asaba, on behalf of the governor by the State Deputy Governor, Samonde Onyeme, who also serves as the chairman of the committee. President Bola Tinubu has expressed excitement as the Nigerian capital market surpasses the historic 100 trillion naira framework. According to a statement by the president's spokesman, Bayo Onanuga, President Tinubu described the achievement as a major milestone and a clear signal of renewed investor confidence in the Nigerian economy. The Nigerian Army has warned the public about fake social media accounts being falsely linked to the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu. In a statement released today, the Acting Director of Army Public Relations, Colonel Apollonia Aneli, said the Army has noticed a rise in fraudulent accounts created in the name of the Army Chief. And abroad, we reported that coup threatened Benin to hold local parliamentary election January 12th. That ends Delta Television Main News. You can also follow our news online on Facebook and YouTube at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, or visit our website at www.dbsasaba.com. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I am Blessing Usiawada. Have a restful night and goodbye for now.